Question. I'll start with a thought before I answer the question. I think the best way to have healthy friendships is to be healthy yourself. And so the first place you look is not at how other people are, but how am I? And so asking yourself the very, very hard questions, like where are my defenses up? Where do I have a difficult time dropping my walls? Do I have unforgiveness in my heart? What have been my experiences with friendship in the past? Because quite honestly, your past experience will always color your present until you actually deal with those realities. So if you grew up, like many women I know, I didn't have this experience growing up, but almost every woman I meet where you have like mean girls basically, where everybody's a jerk and kind of, you know, I don't even know the right word to say except for bitchy, sorry. Sorry, Ash.
It's just real talk.
Yeah, it is what it is. Is there another word? What's a nicer word?
Catty.
Catty. Catty. Can you like hang with me? How we say nice things? Okay. So catty, there it is. We're in relationships that are driven by competition or jealousy or constantly one-upping one another. You know, if you have that, or the comparison thing where you never feel good enough with the person that you're with, or maybe your experiences have caused you to size up other people. So the first thing you do when you meet someone is look them up and down. How do they look? What's their demeanor? And you make judgments very quickly. So it's those kinds of things you have to really ask yourself, because you cannot have healthy relationships and you cannot do appropriate boundaries until you really have got on the map with the Holy Spirit and said, what's in me? And that's why forever my prayer will be from Psalm 139, which is just search me, God, and know me, test me, see if there's anything in me, God, that offends you, and lead me in the way of everlasting life. Like, show me, God, I really, really want to know. And if that's your honest heart before the Lord, then He really will show you. And it's from that place that you can then begin to develop healthy friendships. And so boundaries, for me, is, it's like a weird situation. So I have no boundaries in my friendships in a lot of ways. Like, I'm talking my most safe friendships. Like, I would give them access to my bank accounts. I would, there's nothing that would be off the table. I would talk to them about my sex life. I would talk to them about struggles. I would talk to them about whatever it is. Like, there's nothing off the table. And so to me, I want to live that way in my closest friendships. And so I'm not saying that that's with everyone, because you don't have time to do that with everyone. Even if you have 100 people in your life who are amazing, you just don't have time to do that with everyone. So you have to pick a couple of people that you can be that honest with. So that's the first thing I'd say, is that sometimes there's just no boundaries. And love doesn't really know limits, in a sense, you know? It's like, so there may be a season, I just had a baby, man, and you can't, that first 3 months is like, I mean, if I get out of the house, it's like a modern day miracle. You know, it's like amazing. If I made a meal, it was like incredible. So I didn't have very much to give to the friends who were close to me. And so because of that, that's when I have to allow my friends to arrive for me. I have to allow the people in my life to arrive for me. And other times in seasons of friendship, whether a friend is going through a divorce, like that's a very, very difficult thing to go through. And walking with that friend, they may not have any ability to give to you in that season of their life. And that's okay, because it's not you give me something and I get something in return, or I loved you, I brought you a meal last week, but you haven't done anything for me in like 3 weeks. Like, if you do your friendships that way, forget it. It's just never going to work. So, but it can't be the other way. We're constantly giving, and the other person is constantly taking. So it's learning to find that healthy balance. So some boundaries for me are, I look for honesty. It's like my number one thing. And I ask the Holy Spirit, Lord, give me discernment to be able to see that this person does not have a manipulative spirit, that they really are an honest person, that they really do want to share their life with me. God, help me see that. I look for the ability to have reciprocal relationship. So every now and then I'm looking at, the rest of their relationships in their life. Do they have the ability to have reciprocal friendship? Or is it one of those situations where when we're together, they're always dumping on me, or I'm always dumping on them? Because that's an indication that there's not some reciprocal relationship. So there's that. And then the other big thing that I look for is an ability to serve. It's important. These are things that are important to me. You might have a different list, but I'm just sharing with you mine. But I care how you treat the Starbucks person. I care that you talk to the homeless man on the corner the same way you would a CEO. I care that you don't treat important people, I put that in quotation marks, better than you would someone who can do nothing for you. And then the other thing I look at is, reputation is important. And here's what I mean, I say that very carefully, because sometimes reputation gets thrown out for women, or things get thrown around about people, or whatever the situation might be. So that's not what I'm talking about. I don't go by hearsay. You're like, oh, so-and-so said she's like this. Okay, well, who's so-and-so? I don't know. You know, it's like, whatever. But what I do look for is like, okay, in your most intimate relationships, what's your reputation like? You know, do the people that are closest to you have sideways things to say about you? Yeah, that's just how she is. To me, that's an indication of an unhealthy relationship already. You know, so I'm looking at those types of things. Now, none of those are deal breakers, because we all have issues and problems, right? So you might be in a season where you legit can't serve much, or you legit cannot give a reciprocal situation. So that's not always a deal breaker, but those are just some of the basic things that I personally look for. And the other one, my biggest one, is integrity. And I mean integrity everywhere. So I'm not just like, oh my gosh, they come to all their church stuff. Great, I don't care. Because a lot of people come to all their church stuff and they are not acting right on their job. They've been fired from the last 4 they had. You know, it's like, so integrity's a big one. It's like, how are you on your job? How are you in your family life? How are you in your everyday normal life? Yeah. And then the other thing is just friendships measured in time. So it just takes time. It's going to take time to get to know someone. It takes a year, a good year, for you to actually really know who someone is. You know, it really, really does. So if you're at the beginning of some of your friendships, don't be discouraged. That's completely normal. It just takes time. Okay.